Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hope I'll be having a great weekend. Hope I'll be having a great Sunday. If not, hope this video can make it a little bit better. And man, oh man, it is time for the Week 11 recap. Clap it up. Clap it up. I don't got time to waste. You don't got time to waste either. We're jumping straight into it. I do want to say we were streaming over the weekend some of the games and whatnot. I want to say major shout out to Solidarity for super chatting 50 doubloons. Thank you yet again for that, brother. You already know that's going to go to a good cause. Maybe some, I don't know, Christmas decorations in the man cave. Maybe an extra nutcracker this year. You just have to be on the lookout for that. Getting back on track here, it was not the greatest weekend in college football when it comes to chaotic stuff, upsets. As a matter of fact, we barely had any upsets at that. I know we had the two ACC schools going down, Virginia and Louisville, but I mean big time upsets because let's be honest, Louisville and Virginia were kind of overrated in the first place. There's a lot we're going to talk about though. We had, what about this? The Badgers, one of the worst teams in all college football, beating a top 25 team? That was awesome. We had two top 10 teams in the Big Ten sneaking out with wins. The Indiana Hoosiers and the Oregon Duckies. The BYU's, RIP to the old nickname, they got demolished, and I was far off on that one. I picked BYU to win, and it wasn't even close. You know, we're going to talk about all the games, but before we get into the Saturday games, we had a Friday night game, and that was the USC Trojans. They are quietly making their way up, not only in the rankings, but the Big Ten standings. Everybody wrote off this USC team after they lost to Illinois and Notre Dame, but if they win out, they're going to finish 10-2, and they got an interesting three-game stretch coming up. They got Iowa this up-and-coming weekend and Oregon right after. They beat Iowa and Oregon. Things get interesting there, but I'm liking this USC team. I'm higher on them the most. They got great quarterback play per usual, Lincoln Riley, but unlike a Lincoln Riley-led team, their defense, they're not really good by any stretch of imagination, but they're better than what we've seen in recent years with a Lincoln Riley defense. I'll put it to you like this. I think USC's defense is good enough. Keep your eyes on them. Fast forward time into our Saturday games, we had Louisville, Ohio State taking care of business. I'm not going to talk about cupcakes, but I will throw this in there. Wish my favorite team could play 2-7 Purdue in November. Come on, man. What are we doing? Big Ten, they suck. What about this one at 11 a.m.? You had sorry and sucky and irrelevant Penn State giving the Hoosiers all they could handle, and we saw what happened at the end of the game. Omar Cooper, one of the better catches you're ever going to see. He did the toe tap in the back of the end zone, and once they scored a touchdown, you knew it was over. You knew Penn State with that quarterback wasn't going to march down the field and get in field goal range. Shout out to Omar Cooper. That was a White Randy type of catch. I actually remember, when was this? It was in early October back in 7th grade PE class. I made an identical catch. Mine was a different circumstance though, because we were already winning the game 20-17, and that just put it out of reach. But yeah, shout out to Omar Cooper doing his best White Randy impersonation in Indiana. They're walking out of there with the win. I think a lot of your casuals are going to go, oh man, Indiana's so lucky they're overrated. Nope, I said the same thing with Texas, Georgia, Bama, all these teams. There's three things I live by, or not live by, but when it comes to talking about college football. Number one, you never apologize for a win. Number two, you never apologize for winning in conference play. Number three, you especially, throw in 10 more specialties, never apologize for winning on the road in conference play. This is one of those games that every championship team looks back on. You're like, hey, we weren't supposed to win it, but we found a way to win. Congrats to Indiana. I still think Indiana is a really good team, and I've been trying to tell y'all, you better hop on the hype train. This isn't some Cinderella run. No, they've been really good the past couple of years, whether you want to believe that or not. Indiana's legit. I do understand for your casual fan, it's hard to wrap your mind around that, but I'm trying to warn you, it is reality. Mendoza is one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. Indiana's got a good defense to go along with it. And Cincinnati, he's one of the better head coaches in America right now. Shout out to Penn State, though, for putting up a fight, but it was all for nothing. And are we shocked that Penn State lost a top 5 or top 10 game? No, this is what they do. They're losers. They're irrelevant. I'm not talking about Penn State because you know what I'm about to say next. I'm not even going to say it. Let's move along to our next game. Let me address this because I had so many people tweeting at me saying, yo, Matt, how come you're not going to talk about Georgia, Mississippi State? Make a reaction video of that in the man cave. I don't understand what y'all want me to say. Mississippi State sucks. They're one of the worst teams in the SEC. Georgia won by 20. What is there to talk about? It's a cupcake. Sure, you took care of business, but come on now. You did what you're supposed to do. There's nothing to say. Georgia has one of the best offenses in the nation, one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. Everybody talks about Ty Simpson, Julian Sain, and Fernando Mendoza for the Heisman. What about Gunnar Stockton? I'm tired of the Gunnar Stockton, not hate, but underhype. He needs to get more recognition, and we all know why he's not. is because he lost to Alabama. If he would have won that game against Bama, people would be talking about Stockton like they're talking about Ty Simpson. But he lost in Georgia. They just dominated this game from start to finish. At the beginning, it was kind of close, but that was the beginning of the game. You knew Mississippi State was going to come out with a point to prove, but eventually the talent and just overall the team of Georgia, which is far better and superior than Mississippi State, they were going to take over, and they did. The Bulldogs, well, let me clarify, the Georgia Bulldogs cruised to victory there. How about this one? At 2:30, we had A&M going to Missouri. This one intrigued me. You know why? Because Alabama, which is also a really good team in my opinion, one of the top 5 teams in the nation, they also played at Missouri this year. So we not only have a common opponent, but both A&M and Bama are playing Missouri at Missouri. A little bit of a different circumstance because Bo Perbula is not playing in this one, but still, A&M went in there and they just took over the game. They, similar to what Georgia did at Mississippi State, they dominated. This game was never in doubt. Marcel Reed proves yet again why A&M has one of the most explosive offenses and hardest offenses to stop in the nation. I don't know how you slow down this guy. You can say, well, we can make him pass, but he's really good at making the short passes. The only thing he's bad at, and it's why he's not up for the Heisman Trophy, he can't complete a pass longer than 15 or 20 yards consistently. He'll make about 1 out of 4, but that's not good. But here's the problem. It's easy for me to say in the man cave eating cheesy puffs, oh yeah, you got to make Marcel Reed beat you through the air. It's another thing actually doing it. It's the same thing with Jalen Milroe. You don't think all these teams like Georgia and Kirby Smart last year knew that Jalen Milroe was going to run the ball? You just can't game plan for it. All you can do as Kirby Smart or Eli Dringowitz is put your guys in the best position possible to succeed, which is having a hat on a hat, a man on a man. Well, at the end of the day, if you have a middle linebacker on Marcel Reed as a head coach or defensive coordinator, you did your job. It's up to that player to bring him down. And we saw with Milroe, we saw with Reed. It's just not going to happen. A&M handled Missouri like it was nothing, and maybe not to you, but to me, it's just so impressive seeing a team go in there and doing what they're supposed to do, crossing all their T's, dotting all their I's. How about this one at 11 a.m.? There's not a lot to say about it because BYU, they didn't even show up. Somebody forgot to tell them they had the college game day game of the week. BYU, what are you doing? You're making me look dumb. I picked you to win in this game. I told everybody to stop sleeping on you. You're going to learn to respect the BYUs, and you come out here and put up 7 measly points. The crazy thing about Tech is they haven't had a close game this year outside of their loss. Texas Tech is 9-1, and all 9 of those wins, none of them have been below 20 points. One of the craziest stats I've ever seen. Here's the other thing. If you go on the road and turn the ball over 3 times, you can't expect to win. Heck, you can't expect to win if you do that at home. It's not even like Texas Tech was just a monstrosity on the offensive side of the ball. It's more so they were in the mode of, well, we don't have to do too much because we can rely on our defense, and that's what they did. Heading into this year, everybody thought Texas Tech was going to be this explosive offense, but no. I'd argue and say they're more of a defensive football team. Big win for the Red Raiders. They're going up in my rankings at 2:30 as well. We had the Oregon Duckies versus the sorry and sucky Iowa Hawkeyes. Ah, yes. 18-16. Nothing screams out an Iowa football game like this. If you were to show me this score, don't tell me who plays in it, but you were to show me this score before the week, and I said, oh, yep, that's an Iowa football game. What do you know? It was a safety, yep, stereotypical Iowa football game. It was ugly. It was sloppy, but Oregon, fortunately, they walk out of there with the win. Great drive at the end of the game. Shout out to Dante Moore. One of the best throws you're ever going to see. Oh, my gosh. He threaded that needle, and the catch was amazing, too. Got him in field goal range, and the kicker, he had ice in his veins. He nailed it. I thought Dante Moore was overall mid at best this entire game. He only had 100 passing yards and 0 touchdowns and 1 INT. His QBR was only 39.7. Gronowski was okay. We know he's not that great of a passer. He's more of a running quarterback. But the Iowa offense, you can't expect much out of them. They stink. Oregon, they didn't impress me. And don't act like I'm just now saying this. I stated in the preview, if Oregon goes in there and wins, it's not going to impress me. So it doesn't change for me when you win by a measly 2 points. I also stated in the preview, if Oregon wants to impress me, they got to go in here and win by 20. They didn't do that. I will give you credit, though. Good win. It's hard to win on the road, like I said with Indiana, but it's nothing to get too rallied up about. I didn't leave this game thinking, oh, yeah, Oregon's a legit national title contender. No. What about this one for your 3 p.m. game? We had the Auburn Tigers without Huey Hugh Freeze facing the fighting Diego Pavias. Wow. What do you know? You fired Hugh Freeze, and you finally put up a 38-burger. Man, this Auburn offense, the entire season outside of the Baylor game, has looked abysmal. They've been relying on their defense. They have been a defensive team. In the one game they finally score points, guess what? Their defense gives up 45. Almost a 50-burger. Hey, Vanderbilt, they run that gimmicky offense. It's hard to stop. They've scored on everybody this year outside of Alabama. But golly, 45, you're not going to win any game giving up that many points. And this is a testimony of how Auburn's season has been the entire year. I hate it for Auburn that they lost. I really do. They needed this win. But, man, if you're an Auburn fan, you got to be feeling good. All it took was you to fire your head coach and boom, like that, you actually look like a real football team. I'd be feeling pretty good about this if I am an Auburn fan. Shout out to Vandy, though. They pulled the win, and don't look now, but they are 8-2, and they control their destiny. Yes, that's right. You heard me correctly. Even with the loss to Bama and Texas, they control their destiny. They win their next 2 games, they're in. Wisconsin, oh my gosh, wins one of the ugliest games you're ever going to see. They got 12 first downs, was 2 for 14 on third downs, had 205 total yards of offense, and beat Washington 13-10. A large reason for that is because Washington had 2 turnovers, but golly, 2 for 14 on third downs, and you win the game? Here's an interesting fun fact for you. They had 4 different players take snap at quarterback in this game. I'm talking about Wisconsin, if I didn't clarify. Big win for the Badgers. How about this before we get into the Alabama game? Wake Forest and Virginia. So talking about ugly games, Wisconsin and Washington, I think this one gives them a run for their money. Oh, man. Whew. Virginia, not 1, not 2, but 3 turnovers. And how about this? Wake Forest took a punt return back 90 yards. Robbie Ashford, the starting quarterback for Wake Forest, was 7 for 16, didn't even have 50 passing yards, and he's the winning quarterback in this game. You can't make it up. It was that type of weekend in college football. Wake Forest, they upset Virginia, but Virginia's been playing with fire all year long. And like my grandfather told me growing up, he said, Matthew, you keep playing with that fire, son, you're going to get burnt. And guess what? Virginia, they finally got burnt. Speaking of teams playing with fire, Louisville. What about this? Osaga Batelli, one of my favorite quarterbacks, got a little Tua to him. The left-hander from, I believe he is from Hawaii too. He's either from Hawaii or California. I can't exactly remember. He beats Louisville in overtime. If you haven't seen Cal play this year, they got a fun offense to watch when it's rolling. Alabama and LSU night game at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Alabama currently holds the longest home win streak in all college football. It wasn't pretty. LSU, they were discombobulated, but that was to be expected without a head coach. They were getting false starts, penalties left and right. They had 10 penalties in this game. Alabama, they only had 2. You know what this game came down to? Who was going to make the more disastrous plays? And that was LSU. Heck, at the end of the game, when they was on their goal line, they had to punt it away to Alabama, and then Alabama got the field goal that put it out of reach. Their tight end, Tre'Davious Green, dropped a wide-open pass on third down, and that would have been a first down. The false start on the 4th and 1. There's so many plays you can point to, and LSU had 2 fumbles. They actually had 3 fumbles, but they lost 2 of them. Ty Simpson lost a fumble for Alabama. But LSU, man, they look bad. It's not like, oh, Alabama looked really good. No, LSU looked bad. It's one of those things that's a double-edged sword. You want to give credit to Alabama for beating LSU by 11, but at the same time, it's like, they didn't look that great. A main reason Alabama won is because Garrett Nussmeier just can't stop from taking sacks, running backwards. And it's crazy because he only had 3 incompletions, but the sacks, they're drive killers. Bama's still struggling to run the ball, but I don't want to overcomplicate this one. Bama wins by 11 over one of their biggest rivals. You can't nitpick too much. It is what it is. Good win for Bama. And last but not least, before we end it off, we got to talk about this. The Florida State Seminoles versus the Clemson Tigers in the sorry and sucky ACC. The Dabo Dinosaurs get the best of the Seminoles. This was the battle of the bad, and now both of these teams are 4-5. The only reason I'm talking about this is because this is normally a great game, and heading into a year, I couldn't even fathom the thought of both of these teams after Week 11 are 4-5. Shaking my head. I'm not even going to talk about this game longer than what I am now because these teams don't deserve it. Last but not least, though, before we end it off, I got to throw this in there. The DJ Ugbadoogis, Florida. Oh, my gosh. 38-7 to Kentucky. I picked Kentucky to win this game because it was a home game for them, and Florida doesn't have a head coach. And DJ Ugbadoogui-Lagway is, I would say, now single-handedly the worst quarterback in the SEC. Golly, he had 3 interceptions. This was a former 5-star. There was a lot of these bozos and chumps in the media talking about he was going to win the Heisman Trophy. Get the F out of here. Florida still sucks. Kentucky, they're not bad, though. You know, I got to say this. Kentucky at home, they give everybody fits and troubles. That's going to be it for the Week 11 recap. I know it's shorter than normal, but there's not a lot to say. And if I can keep things short, simple, and sweet, that's what I want to do. I'm curious. Let me know your thoughts down below. But